Hi guys, Mindsetters is grade 11 and we are doing maths literacy today. As you can see, I have Peter standing next to me, and if you're used to our shows, you know that it's going to be a lot of fun. Peter, what are we chatting about today?
Well, we're chatting about grids, location, and position today.
Fantastic. And I see you've had a haircut. You're looking very smart.
I have had a haircut. It's kind of small. Hey? In fact, the reason why I've had a haircut is because it's Cancer Awareness Day coming up. I think it's this weekend sometime. So everyone in our school who wanted to participate could, and they had their hair shaved, and voila, here it is.
You look very smart, and it's for a good cause.
So are you talking?
And it's for a good cause. No, you talk. You talk.
Cool.
He's the teacher. It's the teacher in him. I'm sorry.
Last year, nearly 125,000 rand was raised for cancer awareness. Or rather, nearly 125,000 people participated in it. And it sounds quite impressive, but it's actually quite sad for me, because when you think that there's 620,000 grade 11s in the country alone, it means that not even all the grade 11s or all the grade 12s took part
participated.
In it. And if one grade in the whole country took part, we'd be able to make just over 15.5 million rand for cancer research. Now that's something to think about.
That's amazing. You know what I'm going to do, Peter? I'm actually going to find it on Facebook, and I'm going to share the link with you guys so you guys can actually go to it and be a bit more informed about it. I think that's a great idea. And talking about Facebook, let me just tell you, you can chat to me and Deanna on facebook.com/learnextra, and that's with an XTRA. Also, I'm on Twitter @LearnExtra, and I'm here to help you with any questions that you may have. If Peter, misleads you a little bit, let me know. Even if it's just to make fun of him, no, I won't. No, only important questions, guys. You know what? We're going to take a short break because I can see the evil eye over my shoulder. We'll see you now. Hi guys, and welcome back. I told you it was going to be a short break, right? Grade 11s and grade 12s. Grade 12s, I hope you're also joining in, because learning more and learning extra is always awesome. Get those questions in on the page. We're going to be doing a challenge question, hey? Apparently. So I'll be posting that up now. But you know what? I don't want to take any of the light or the shine away from Peter. So we're going to go straight to him right now.
Right, welcome back. Today, as we said before the ad, we're going to be looking at a bit of map work, and we're going to be mainly looking at grids, location, and position. So we're not going to be studying distances on maps, and we're not going to be looking at maps intensely. We're going to be looking at that at a much later stage in a few weeks' time. But today, we're going to emphasize just mainly a grid system, finding our location on a map, and then finding positions. Okay, so that's basically what we're kind of doing today. So let's get started with today's program. So, overview, as we said, we're going to look at grids, and we're going to have a little look at direction. Now, our grid system. There we go. Now, a grid reference is a set of numbers and letters that can be used to give a location on a map or a seating plan. Usually, the letter of the alphabet is quoted first, followed by a reference, a number. Okay, so let's have a look at here. Here now we have a grid system, and our grid system is broken up into a whole lot of blocks. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is this, that we get a big block, and that huge block is broken up into even smaller blocks. So if we look here, and I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but we've got orange lines, and the orange lines are making a block. Inside those orange lines, there are little black lines, and those are making up little black boxes. Okay, so we have a grid system where we have huge reference points, and those reference blocks or reference points can be broken up even smaller. But we're just going to look at it from a broad aspect today. And then we'll take it further at a later stage, as I mentioned. All right, so here's a question. Very simple question. So simple, I don't think you'd get a question like this in your exam, okay? And if you did, it would probably be a paper 1 type question. In other words, a straightforward question. The examiner's probably saying, hey, you know what, Shane, I feel very sorry for my guys writing this exam. Let's start them off on an easy question, give them a bit of confidence. Hopefully they'll all get it right, so they've at least got 1 out of 150. And this could be the question. What is the position of the yellow circle? Now, guys, you can see that the yellow circle falls in this whole block C over here. So if I were to look at it, here it is in column C, and it's in row 2. So I would refer to this as it being in location C2. Now, like I said, it's very straightforward, very basic, but if you understand that concept, then we can go further. So let's do that. Next one. Right. Have I gone 2? Let's see. Yeah, I did indeed. Right. Here we have a map, right? And it's showing part of the Western Cape. And it says use the grid to describe the location of the following towns on the map. Okay, now let's just get an overall feel for what we're looking at here. Haley did something, or said something rather important during the grade 11 session. She said before you even look, in the grade 10 session, this is the grade 11 session.
Well, welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's always good to know what I'm doing. But, all right, I'm talking to grade 11. So in the last session for the little grade 10s, what she said was before you even look at the question, before you even read the question, look at your resources. Look at the map. Get an overall feel for it. And you know what? I agree 100% with it. Because normally, when you're just having an overview of the map that's in front of you, you're already picking up a few things, and normally by the time you've read the question, you basically know what the answer is anyway. So let's have a look at it. So here is a part of the Western Cape. How do I know that? Well, I know that for 2 reasons. Number 1, because I used to live in the Western Cape. And number 2, if you look very carefully, it says here Western Cape. Okay, so we're dealing in the Western Cape, and I'm looking at it then, we can see we've got all kinds of funny little towns here. Jonkersfontein, is it? You help me here? You've got
Definitely Jonkersfontein.
There we go there,
yeah.
and Malcotefontein, and
Johnson's Post. That's an easy one.
We got Knysna, up here somewhere, if I remember correctly, George should be somewhere in this picture, is it? Can we see it?
I can't see it, but it is somewhere near there.
It must be in another map. This is a different Western Cape. Okay.
This is the old version.
Alright, so yeah, we're getting an idea of the map. Obviously we've got a bit of sea, we've got a bit of land. Great. Now, let's have a look at our question. And our first question is this. Use a grid to describe the location of the following towns on the map. Now, I don't want to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So my colleague here is going to remember these names. So we're going to look for Ladysmith, we're going to look for Mossel Bay, we're going to look for Knysna, and we're going to look for George, and then we're going to look for Oudtshoorn. So it's Ladysmith, Mossel Bay, Knysna, George, and Oudtshoorn. All right, now that Indiana has that,
I do.
we're going to start looking for these places. Right, first one was?
Ladysmith.
Ladysmith. Okay, so let's try and find out where Ladysmith is. Now, Ladysmith, if I remember correctly, is somewhere over here. There it is. So Ladysmith is there. Now, that took us quite a while, didn't it? Because we had to look and say, oh my goodness, where's Ladysmith? But if I say to you, Ladysmith is in block A1, you would say, must be here. Oh, there it is.
I also found George, but I don't know if I'm going to share.
How easy is that? Okay. Right, the next one we've got to find is?
Mossel Bay.
Mossel Bay. Okay. Now, looking at the map, and I want you viewers to look at that map and say, well, where is Mossel Bay? I'm going to make it easy for you and say, look in the block C3. Now, straight away, you can see it. There's Mossel Bay. Easy, isn't it? It's so much easier when we got the grid reference. Okay. Next one we're looking for is?
Knysna.
Knysna, right. So Knysna now is somewhere here in block E3. Ah, you didn't know. It's not over here. It's actually E3, which is right over there. And the next one will be?
George.
Ah, now, George.
I know where it is, Peter.
Can you see it?
I can. I can.
Okay.
How long should I let you panic for?
Because George is close
George
to
is
Knysna area.
C2. C2.
There
we
that's
are.
Right, I can't read that. That's right. It's badly written. But there is George over there in C2, and then Oudtshoorn should just be north of George, isn't it? So Oudtshoorn over there, all right, in the same block. Now there's an interesting thing, because if I say to you, we're going to George, let's go to block C2. And now I say we're going to Oudtshoorn, let's go to block C2. Well, that's kind of difficult, isn't it? Because now we're going to the same block. And in the same block now, we've got two different little towns or cities. What is Oudtshoorn? A little town?
Yeah.
A little city? It's a little town.
little
It's not like
dopey.
huge or big
Yeah.
or anything. All right, so we got little town Oudtshoorn, a bigger little town George, and they're in the same block, C2. And that's why sometimes it's necessary for us to break this block to even smaller little blocks. So we would now subdivide these blocks and break them up even further. Yeah, but we're not going to get into that. The fact that we've told you C2, that was enough for you to find George. The fact that we told you C2, that was enough for you to find Oudtshoorn. But if you were a pilot flying an aircraft, and I was in the tower, okay, and I say to the pilot, "You're heading to C2." Well, that could be problematic for the passengers, right? Because the pilot, it could mean he's going anywhere over here. I've got to be more specific. And I've got to tell him exactly the location of where he's going. And so what we now begin to introduce, and this is where the maths lit teachers and the geography teachers become buddies, because now we start talking the same language. And we start talking about lines of longitude and lines of latitude, okay? And lines of longitude are the lines that run down the earth, and lines of latitude are lines that run across the earth. So we could say, you know what, to our pilot, we could say, you know, you're going off to this line of longitude, and this line, let's get it, of latitude. Okay? And that's where you got to land. Where that line of longitude and that line of latitude cross each other, that's where you're putting the plane on the ground. Okay? And sure, that makes life a lot easier for the passengers. Cool? Can we move on?
Yes, let's move on.
This. Okay. So we're just getting a general feeling for everything. I think those were all the questions. Those were the only towns we were looking for. Let's move on. Now, next one. Right, for the next one, what we're actually doing now is not only do we have to find locations on maps, okay, but sometimes in your, well, it is in your syllabus, what you also have to sometimes do is find the location of a seat in a theatre, okay, or in a movie house, right? You've got to be able to know how to find a specific seat. It's a different type of grid system. So let's have a look here. Okay, this is not coming out very clear at all, unfortunately. So you know what, we're going to have to probably move on. But
well, what about the challenge question? Are we going to read out the challenge question? Do you have the challenge question?
We have the challenge question just a little bit later, somewhere in this whole presentation.
Okay.
But let's just, I'm going to give us, I'm going to draw a little theatre quickly. Let's just try and draw it. No, we're not going to draw it. Are we going to draw it?
You are going to draw it?
We are going to draw it.
Yes.
Okay. So if I were to give you a seating system, and let's say now I said, here's a seat, here's a seat, here's a seat, here's a seat, and we could be here all day, hey, but we're not going to be. I'm just going to draw 3 rows
Thank
of
goodness,
seats.
Peter.
We'll
I was
pretend it's a tiny
I was worried
little,
there for a second.
So was I. Especially if I had to draw 450 of these things, okay, we'd be here all day. That wouldn't be a problem. That would be a career. Okay, so let's say here's the stage. And Indiana is going to stand up and do a dance on the stage, and we all packed in to watch her, right? So all 12 of us. So here she is doing a little dance. Now, as we get to the theatre, we'd have to know, well, where am I actually going to sit in this theatre? I have a ticket, and the ticket says seat number C4, right? So now I've got to try and figure out, well, which is my seat? Now, the way they normally number these is row A is the very first row, then row B, then row C. And then they number those seats. And normally it's from the left-hand side through to the right-hand side, normally. Okay? So this will be row 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I said I was in seat C4.
C4.
Okay? So in other words, this would be my seat right over here. That's where I'm going to be sitting, and that's where I'm going to be laughing. I mean, looking at Indiana do her dance on the show. Okay? So if I said, right, here's another person, what seat are they? Well, obviously they seat A2. Okay? So they know they're in the very first row, row A, and then row 2. Now, the one problem we have with this whole numbering system is this, that we're using row A, B, C, D, E, F, etc., 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 X, Y, Z. Now, that means that we've used, how many letters are in the alphabet, Indiana?
26.
Oh, she's nervous there. Eh?
26.
Bit of a jitter there, but she's absolutely right. 26. So we've got eventually X, Y, Z. Now, in some theatres, we have more than 26 rows. Okay, some theatres are huge. And so now, what do we do when we get to Z? Do we start again from A, B, C? Well, if we did start from A, B, C again, then someone who gets row A4 won't know if they're in this A or the very first A. So what we do is, once we get to X, Y, Z, we start again and we say A, but we're going to call it double A. And then the next row, instead of B, we're going to call it AB. And then row AC. And then row AD, etc. Because if we now get 52 seats, or 52 rows rather, we've now got from A to Z, and then we've gone from AA through to AZ. Now we might have more than 52 rows. Then we start with BA, BB, BC, BD. Okay? Now, not all theatres number like this. A lot of them have different numbering systems. But the one thing we're telling you now in grade 11 is this. Be aware of the different numbering systems. Okay? And as you're aware of those different numbering systems, you must be able to interpret any question that relates to it. Now, I'm really sorry you can't see this on the screen. I don't know what went wrong. It looked perfect on the computer. Suddenly it's come on the screen and it's kind of blue. Because we wanted to know certain things. Like, if you look on your screen, you'll see a little red block there. And the question was going to be, where's this guy seated? And I know you can't see it, but here we have an A. Let me just highlight. Maybe that will help us a little bit. Here we have a row E. Oh, that didn't help at all. That just obliterated everything. Okay. So we've got a row E, and he's in column 5. So he'd be sitting in seat E5. Okay. And right up here, here's the stage, right up here, we have a different numbering system, where instead of going A, B, they've gone A, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F. That's another type of numbering system, and that's fine, okay? So, if my mother-in-law came to watch me on the stage, obviously that's where I would put her. Right on the top, in F, F, seat 4. Up there, okay? So that when she flings bananas or whatever the case is, it's not going to actually hit me, okay? I think we're coming up for an ad break.
We are, indeed. I hope your mother-in-law isn't watching, Peter.
I'm not sure. Hey, you know what I will say is this very weekend I'm going down to Durban, and my wife's going to visit her. You'll notice I'm going, but I didn't
Well,
say
there you go. So, guys, if Peter isn't here next week, then we know why. Guys, get those questions in on the page. If there's anything that you're not understanding, what Peter's been going through, let us know. We can go through it together. The challenge question is coming up next. I promise you. I've read it, and I'm excited about it. I'm very excited. I actually want to read it out now, but Peter won't let me. Without further ado, we're going to go to a break. Don't leave those seats. We'll see you now. Hi guys, and welcome back to an awesome show. This is Maths Lit, grade 11, just in case you've just joined in. Okay guys, so I'm going to read you the challenge question, and I'm quite excited about it because it's bamboozled me slightly, a bit. And Peter won't tell me the answer, so I have to kind of, go along. So I am going to post it onto the Facebook page, so it will be written out there, so you can go and check it out and answer there. But listen up carefully, because it's a bit of a stinger. Okay. So here's the challenge question for grade 11. A man goes bear hunting. He leaves his front door and walks 1 kilometer due south. He then walks 5 kilometers east. He gives up the hunt and turns north and then walks straight. After a while, he gets back to his front door. He gets inside and looks out the window and sees a bear. And what's the question? Peter, I know you want to. I don't want to take away your glory.
Question is, what color is the bear and why?
That is the question, guys. Believe it or not, I know it seems like a really strange maths lit question. What color is the bear? And I'm going to post the question right now, and I'm going to let Peter get on with the show, and after the next break, we'll go through it, and let's see who got it right. Cool, guys. See you now. Peter, carry on.
Right guys, so we were talking about grid systems, and the next thing we've got to touch on in grade 11 is the whole compass direction. So let's have a look at this. Now on the screen here, you will be able to see that we've actually drawn up certain direction points. Okay? So the first thing to take note of is this, that our most important 2 lines are these 2 here, with north, south, west, and east. Okay? Those are the fundamental things, because that's going to tell me whether I'm facing going up north, whether I'm south, this side or that side. So it's actually breaking up my entire grid system into 4 main parts. Okay? And that north, south, west, east is going to tell me which way I'm going. Now I'm sure by now you know, but I'll go through it anyway, that this must be the west, okay, and this must be the east, because we spell the word we, right? So it's W-E. That's why west is always that side, east is this side, spelling the word we. If we got it mixed up and we did it the other way, well, ew, that's just horrible, okay? And that spells you. I think it does. You. Ew, it's horrible. You're wrong. It's rather we. Okay, so that's how I'd make my guys remember it, and it always works well. So W-E, west, east, north, south. Now, in between north and west, we have another direction, and this direction is northwest. Between north and east, we have northeast. Between south and east, southeast. Between south and west, southwest. Okay, now those are the basic directions which one has to know. Sometimes what I tend to do with my guys is I actually fill in some more directions. So what I say to them is this, okay, what happens over here? What happens, sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this, I'm writing like a bit of a lunatic today, over there. What happens if I have direction there and maybe a direction there, right? Well, this line over here is between north and northwest. So I'm going to pretend it's got a bit of north and a bit of northwest. Like my son. He has a bit of me in it and a bit of my wife in it. Okay? He doesn't drive very well. That comes from my wife. True, he is 8 years old, so we expect that. Okay? He's quite a clever little boykie, and obviously that comes from me. So this direction's got a bit of north and a bit of northwest, so we're going to call it north, northwest. This direction over here has got a bit of north and a bit of northeast. So we're going to call this north, northeast. And this one got a bit of northeast and a bit of east. Now remember I told you the most important guys are our north, south, west and east. So we're going to keep them important. So this line we're going to start with east because he's an important guy. We're going to say this is the direction east, northeast. This direction, yeah, you guessed it, east, southeast. This direction, south, southeast. And so on. Okay, we're not going to spend the whole day here filling this in, but you get the idea. And guys, you just got to learn that. You've just got to know that. Now, how are we going to ask that kind of question in an exam or in a test? Well, we're not going to give you a compass point and say Fulham North, Fulham South, West, East. That you would have done probably in grade 4 or grade 5, just that. What we're going to do is we're going to apply that knowledge. So let's go on and find a question, okay? Now, looking at this, here I have different points on a grid system. I've got a point 1, a point 2, a point 3, and a point 4. We're not going to worry too much about the grid system. I just want you to focus on those numbers. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And let's have a look at a question. In what direction is circle 2 if you're at circle 3? So I'm currently at this point over here. Which direction do I have to travel to get to my number 2? Well, the problem with this question, and there is a problem, the problem is they're not telling you which direction is north, south, east, and west. Because north could be in that direction. Well, if that's the case, and we travel north, we're going up there. But we're going to make life easy for ourselves. Why? Because I want to. And we're just going to pretend that north is up yonder. So now we know from 3 to get to 2, I'm just traveling north. That's easy, isn't it? In what direction is circle 2 if you're at circle 4? So here I'm at circle 4. I'm also wanting to get to circle 2, but I'm not going to go north, because if I go north, well, dachate. Alright, wrong direction totally. I'm now going to go in this direction, and this direction was my west. So I'm traveling in a westerly direction. Alright, straightforward, hey? Simple, simple, simple things. Again, I'm not going to give you a question like that in a test or an exam. How am I going to pose the question? This is how we're going to do it. Right. Here is a street map. Now, hopefully you can see this. Has this come through? I see the streets haven't come through, but you can kind of make out the street names. Alright, okay. So the grid reference of shop B is A3. Now this is quite a clever question, because on this whole question here, they haven't told us which block is A, B, or C, and where A1 or A2 or A3 is. So we've got to kind of calculate that out. What they have said is shop B is in A3. So in other words, if this is A, then this row must be 3. Okay? A3. Now if that's A, here we got B, we got C, we got D, and we got E. This will be row 1, row 2. So shop B is in block A3. Write down the grid reference for shop A. Well, shop A then is obviously B1. Okay? Geez, this is easy stuff, eh? Let's get to the challenging stuff. I'm sure you all can't wait for it. Right, now, if a truck drives from shop B, in fact, let's just go to the next page, because I know we've got every question on a page. So here it is. If a shop drives from shop B in a northerly direction in Long Market Street, okay, into which street should the truck turn east in order to reach shop A? So here's shop B. We're traveling along Long Market Street. So we're going along the street over here, and we've got to turn, because we've got to turn into shop A. And shop A is over here. So I'm going to go, if I turn right, I'm going to go into Loop Street, and I'm not going to get anywhere near shop A. So I'm going to carry on traveling in a northerly direction, and now I'm going to turn in an easterly direction, or to the right, and there I get to shop A. What street is it? It's, what street is it? How do you pronounce that? It's like the cheese, eh?
Where? The Adderley Street? Oh, Bree.
Bree Street.
Bree
It's
Street,
like the cheese.
yeah.
Okay, so we're now turning into Bree Street to get to our actual shop. Straightforward. There's nothing hard about this, folks. So, let's move on. Again, you know, the horrible thing about this kind of question, well, not the horrible thing, but the realistic thing is that these are all paper 1 type questions. We haven't got to the paper 2, to the real good stuff. Now, in which direction should one travel from Shop B in order to reach the company gardens in A3? All right, now, where are the company gardens? We're looking for some gardens. Here are the company gardens. Okay. Which direction are we going to travel? Well, guys, all we're going to do is we're going to go that way, right? So what direction is that? This is going to be in a westerly direction. Straightforward, simple. Again, nothing challenging, nothing to get upset about yet. Now, Peter, this must be a great guy. He's got a wonderful name. Peter walks in a northerly direction from Shop B at Berg Street. He turns right and continues in an easterly direction. Okay, so here we go. He is traveling north, and at Berg Street he's going to turn right. So here he goes, he gets to Berg Street and he starts going right. Until he reaches Prestwich Street. Now, where's Prestwich Street? Here it is. So he's going to carry on, and he reaches Prestwich Street. At Prestwich Street, he turns and, what does it say? He turns and continues his journey in a northerly direction. He crosses one road, and at the second road, he turns right. So let's get back to the map. So he's going to carry on, northerly direction, crosses one road, which is Loop Street, and now gets to Bree Street. And he's going to turn, what direction did we say? He's going to turn, he turns right, continues to the end of this road and reaches his destination straight ahead. What is his destination? Okay, so he turns right, and away he goes, and where is he going to go? He's going to land up at the CTICC. What is CTICC?
CTICC, is it a kind of tile company?
Oh my Gideon.
I don't know. Anyone know what it is? Let us know.
It must be in Cape Town here.
Yes, anyone in Cape Town, let us know what CTICC is.
Yeah, if you're watching and you're from Cape Town, let us know what CTICC is. Okay?
It's right by Loop Street, eh? What? What's the other street
just
there?
Just off Breer Street.
Okay.
If you carry on Breer Street, you get to CTICC.
Yeah, let us know, guys.
Oh, please. Okay. Time to move on, I think. Now we get to the real nitty-gritty stuff. Okay. Now we've got a map. And this is where I get excited, because now it becomes real life stuff. So we've got a map again, and I would say this is probably the province of Mpumalanga, because there's Middelburg, Macho-Dorp,
Dullstroom. Where's
Sabi.
Dullstroom?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dullstroom, so I think we're in Mpumalanga. Right, let's see what kind of questions we have. Estimate the direction of the following towns in relation to that town. What's that town called? Macho-Dorp.
Machadodorp.
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 I don't get around very much to Mpumalanga. My apologies to anyone who lives in Machadodorp. All right. But I think you've got more problems than me if you live there. Okay, so now moving on. We now want to get to Middelburg. What direction must we get in Middelburg? So let's have a look. So over here now, here we are, and we want to get to Middelburg. Right. From here to Middelburg, where is Middelburg? It's over. We've lost Middelburg, folks. Please don't panic if you live in Middelburg.
It's still there.
Is it there? Can you see it?
No, I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
But maybe scroll down. It must be down there somewhere. There you go.
There we were.
See, it was hiding.
Oh, there we go. All right. People who live in Middelburg, you can feel a little more confident again. We found you. We know where you are. Right. So you're over here. In fact, I'm going from the wrong town altogether. That's where I'm starting, and I want to get to Middelburg. Now, folk, which direction am I going to go in? I'm going to go in a westerly direction, and we understand that. So, were I to travel in a westerly direction, I'm going to land up more or less in the area where Middelburg is. Okay? But I need to go a little south of west. All right? So, I'm probably going to go west, southwest. Okay, just a little bit south of the west. Okay, the next one we were looking for was Lydenburg. So here is Machado Dorp, and we're going to go to Lydenburg, or Lydenburg. Which direction are we going? Well, if we go north, we're going to miss it a little bit. So I would say we're going more northeasterly direction to get there. All right. Can you see how we're applying this? Let's carry on. Now, we want to go to Draaikraal. Oh my word, I just dread looking for this.
Do you want me to write these down for you?
Write it down, Draaikraal,
Okay.
and then we're going to Waterval. Now, I'm not going to forgive my producer on this. They put these questions in deliberately because they know it's going to take me forever to find them. So, Draaikraal, let's go and look for Draaikraal. All right, here we go. I'm going to ask Indiana to help me try and find Draaikraal.
I am
and
looking.
so we're looking very carefully. You look on your screen, see if you can see it. Remember, we're starting at Machado Dorp, and we're looking for
Draaikraal.
Draaikraal. Can anybody see Draaikraal?
I can see a Rooikraal.
Can you see a Rooikraal?
Yeah, Rooikraal's down there on the left. It was much easier with a grid, hey?
Okay, absolutely, and that is so crucial.
That's so much easier with a grid.
If we had a wonderful grid system, we could just say, hey guys, instead of hunting, look in block A4, you'll find it, okay? And we would. But right now, we just don't seem to find this poor place anywhere, and I feel sorry for anyone who lives in Driefontein because,
Are you sure it's there? Is there any more? Go up and go down. I want to see.
Should we go up? Should we go down?
I feel like we're missing out on something there. Draaikraal.
Draaikraal. I can't see a Draaikraal, hey?
Do you think everyone's shouting at us?
Okay, our producer's shouting in my ear and she's laughing, saying, I can see it, I can see it.
Well, then where is it?
Okay. All right, so
there it is.
There we go. Okay, fantastic. So here's Draaikraal, and so what we're saying is from Machado Dorp to Draaikraal, we're going in a north-westerly direction. Okay, and the next one we're looking for is?
Have we found Middelburg?
Middelburg, yeah, no, we did that.
Oh, we
was
did.
the very first one.
What about Lindenburg?
We found that as well. There it was.
Waterval onder.
You know.
I think
okay.
there it is.
Waterval, this is Wonderfontein.
There it is.
Onder is right over here. So we're going to travel in a easterly direction. You know, after that, I'm just totally exhausted. I think it's time to have
Let's have a break.
Coffee break or something.
Guys, we have to give Peter a little break. So let's do that. Guys, get any questions in if you do have them. I see that a few of you have written back to our little bear problem. Let us know what you think it is, and we're gonna go through the answer as soon as we get back. So don't leave those seats. We'll see you now. Hi guys, and welcome back. I told you it was going to be a quick break. I just wanted to let you know that I posted on the page the link to the Cancer Shave-a-thon, because you know Peter told you in the beginning of the show that he shaved his hair, and all for a good cause. I just wanted to let you know that Mpho says that he's getting his hair sprayed next Friday at school, which I think is awesome. Well done, Mpho. And then we've also got Catalyst, who said that he or she, I'm sorry I can't see your profile picture, will be running the Relay for Life. So guys, I think that's amazing, and you know what, go get them, really. And you know what, I think we're going to get onto our little tricky question. A whole bunch of you have answered, and I know it stumped a few of you, and I think Peter's going to get straight onto it right now. Hey?
Right, absolutely. What I will say is this, guys, I just cannot get used to this hair. Every time I do this, I feel like a porcupine. Which reminds me, there was once a little porcupine that was walking through a forest, and he ran into a cactus, and he looked up and said, "Is that you, Mom?" Anyway, okay, that's a silly one. Right, let's go and look at our question. So the question was this, that you, standing in your house, you walk south for 1 kilometer, you then walked east for 5 kilometers, and then you walked north again for another kilometer, and you got back to your house. Now let's draw this. So you're standing over here and you're at your home. You go south for 1 kilometer. You now go east for 5 kilometers. You then go north for another kilometer and you land back at your house. Now from this diagram which I've got on the board here, you can see that, guys, that's virtually impossible. Okay? We can't do that. If you start and you walk down You walk across, you walk up, you're not back at your starting point. Or are you? Well, there's only one way that that is possible. Let's have a look at this. You know, in the beginning of this program, we spoke about a grid reference. And I spoke about lines of longitude and lines of latitude. Okay. Now, lines of longitude start where? At the North Pole, don't they? So they actually start at the North Pole, and each line runs down. Hundreds of the lines. Okay? So if I were to have my house at the North Pole, right at this point, let me get a different color pen so you can see it. At that point over there, and I walked south, then I walked east. Oops, I'm just taking the line away. Then I walked east and then walked back north. Now please take note, when I walk back north, the north is there because north always points to my North Pole. So now I'm walking back north, I land back at my very home. So that means my home is on the North Pole. So I walk south, walk east, walk back north, I'm back to my home on that North Pole. But the question was, what color, and I get to my home and I see a bear. What color is the bear? Guys, if we're in the North Pole, the bear must be?
A polar bear.
Absolutely. Which
okay.
is?
Brown. White, guys. Polar bears are white.
Absolutely. So that answers that question, okay. Horrible question, but I thought it was quite nice with this topic that we're discussing now about locations and how we brought in those lines. And I did drop a bit of a clue when I spoke about lines of longitude and latitude, okay? So our lines of longitude all meet up at the North Pole, and that's why our house is on the North Pole. We walk south, walk east, walk back north, and we're back to our home. And then we see the polar bear, and obviously he must be white because he's a polar bear. Cool. Let's move on. Now, there's another question which we've got to look at, and we were talking about seating arrangements earlier on in a theatre and things like that. We're talking about grid reference, finding different locations. And the last one we're going to look at is the seating arrangement on an aeroplane. Now, I love aeroplanes. I think they're absolutely amazing. I still don't know how it works, okay? How this huge piece of metal, okay, weighing tons and tons and tons, can just suddenly lift off a runway and take off into the sky. Okay? I mean, if I got a piece of metal, I can't find a piece of metal here. I can find a camera, but they'll moan at me if I throw the camera around. But if I had a piece of metal, okay, and I threw it, it would go crashing down onto the ground. And yet somehow an aeroplane, this huge piece of metal, can just lift up into the air. It's the most incredible thing, don't you think so, Indiana?
It's incredible.
Okay. And it's something you don't like to think about very much when you're in the aeroplane so many thousand feet above the ground. You don't try and figure how that works because logically it shouldn't work. Okay? It's the same thing with the ship. If I take a piece of metal and put it on water, it sinks to the bottom. And yet you've got these ships that weigh tons and tons and tons and they just float on the water. Ah, makes you think. It's a physics thing. Right. So what we're looking at here is look at the seating plan for the British Airways Airbus A318S. All right. Now, for some of you who know a little bit about aeroplanes will know that the new Airbus 318 is this huge double-decker aeroplane. It is absolutely huge. It's got two layers, a ground floor and a top floor, as it were, okay? Two different levels. Now, on the top level, you've got a portion of it which belongs to a business class, okay? And so here now we've got a few seats. So although this plane is absolutely huge, we're just showing a little section of it, right? Okay, called Club World, which is basically the business class of the aeroplane. Now, with this whole thing comes a seat plan key. In other words, they're telling you certain things. They're telling you if you've got a little blue circle with an L in, it means a lavatory. In other words, there's a loo over there. Okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3 loos on this specific part of the aeroplane. We got a little G in yellow. A little G in yellow means a gallery. In other words, that's where they're going to make all your scrumptious food, chicken or beef. Okay, that's where it all happens, right? Now, would you have a window seat if you sit in seat K7? So let's look for it. Okay. Now, you can't really see it on your screen, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pen. This is row A, okay, row B, row J, row K. Now, normally seats are arranged A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Why then do we have a row A, B, miss a few, and J, K? Remember, this is the business class. It's big seats, okay? So they don't have a whole lot of squashed up seats in economy class where you've got an A, B, C, D, E seat, right? In business class, the space it takes for A, B, C, D in economy, in business class, they can only fit 2 rows, A and B, okay? That's the only 2 rows that they have, and that's why they don't have all the other rows. So we are looking now for row or seat K7. So K is over here, somewhere over there. And row 7 is this row over here. So the seat I'm looking for is this guy there, right? Where is it? Hey, you know what? It's next to the end of the plane. In other words, it's a window seat. Absolutely. So would you have a window seat if you sat in K7? Yes, sirree, I would. Next question. Would you be able to work on your laptop if you were in seat A2? Where's A2? A2 is this seat over there. Now, why are they asking me about a laptop? I mean, where am I going to work on a laptop? And why would they want to know that? Right? How would I know that? Well, the only thing I can think of is this. That if I'm on a long distance flight, my laptop is going to run out of power. And so I'm going to need a little bit of electricity. Now, there's a little black dot there. And the little black dot by that seat means, here's a little black dot, there's a power port. In other words, I'm able to plug my little laptop in to that. Right? Straightforward, simple, but somehow we had to relate the two. Not a nice question if A, you've never been in an aeroplane before, and B, if you don't know much about laptops and the fact that the battery's going to run flat and you're going to need power. Right? So would I ask my kids that in an exam? No, I wouldn't. Because I'm not sure they'd all understand the concept of how a laptop works. Final question. How many toilets are there on the plane? Okay, and we looked at that earlier. And we said there are 1, 2, 3 toilets. Why? Because there's a little blue dot with an L in the middle, and that means lavatory. Now, remember earlier I said to you, sometimes before you even read the question, just look at the diagrams, look at the pictures, because you pick up answers before you've even read the question. And in this specific example, I started off looking at this and saying, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? And I even said to Indiana, gee, it looks like we've got 3 toilets on board. Later on, we got to the question. The question was, how many toilets on this part of the plane? And we'd already solved that. So guys, always remember that. That's a fat hint, okay? Look at your all the resources you're given and study them. Look at them. Analyze them before you even get to the question. Okay. Any questions from any viewers out there?
We don't have any questions. I think obviously they're just understanding everything. You completely bamboozled them with the brown bear and the North Pole bear. But you know what? Now that you've given the answer, they completely understand. A good one. It was a good one. Like, even Lawrence said, I don't get it, guys, though. There was no mention of vegetation, so why talk about the woods? So hopefully, Lawrence, that makes sense now. We've got 2 minutes left. Is there anything else we can go over? I don't think. Guys, if there's any questions, send them through now. We've got about a minute to take them. You guys have been far too quiet to get them in. Okay.
Right. I've got a little joke.
Yes, joke.
Okay. Because we haven't said very many jokes on the series at all. So it's a knock-knock joke. It's actually quite cool, I think, anyway. You might not find this funny, but I think it's great. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies who?
I'll tell you tomorrow. It's a cereal. There's another knock-knock joke which I really enjoy. It's an Irish knock-knock joke. You start.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Indiana.
No. All right, folks. Just to sum it all up then, we've basically had a look at our different grid systems, okay? We've looked at directions. We've applied those grid systems to maps. We've applied them to a theatre seating or even to a soccer stadium seating. You know, sometimes you go off and you want to watch a soccer game and you've got this ticket and it says you're sitting in block 5, row 44 AA, and you're like, well, where on earth do I start? That's why we've got to basically understand. And then we touched a little bit on maps as well. I hope it was helpful.
Fantastic. So guys, that is the end of the show. I know it goes so fast. Grade 12s. Remember that you're next. We're doing 2D and 3D problems part 2. Grade 11s, thank you so much for such a fantastic show. Hope you had fun and we'll see you next week. Bye.